Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight podcast here from Derbyshire, up in the Midlands. Today we have a really very fascinating, very interesting opportunity to speak to a lady called Rachel Hicks. Welcome, Rachel. Rachel is the co-founder of a product called Skywave Gin, now known as Skywave Distilling Company. It's a successful product and venture. We're looking forward to hearing all about the journey from Rachel. But we also have to say and acknowledge even that Rachel is a broadcasting communications expert. She also has a media and crisis coaching background, is a freelance TV presenter and panel host, and also a filmmaker. So this is a guest on the Business Spotlight with fascinating depth and facets that I'm looking forward to understanding more about, Rachel, this lovely day. So please welcome to Business Spotlight. Feel free to tell us a little bit more about Skywave and what you've been up to this point.
Oh, thank you, Alice. It's lovely to be here. Yeah, Skywave is based down here in Oxfordshire. We launched in 2018, so we're just five this year. And we've had just the biggest adventure. It was almost an accidental launch. We had perfectly good careers. We were looking for the perfect gin. We couldn't find it. So we decided we had to make it. So we got ourselves to gin school, learned how to make gin, discovered we were pretty good at it to the extent that people wanted to buy it. So with all the licenses in place, we launched. And within 18 months of launching, we were named the world's best gin at the World Gin Awards, which was huge. 800 entries from around the world. And we were sitting in this amazing place in London with huge companies. Waitrose were there, Lidl were there, massive distilleries. I was chatting to Johnny Neal of Whitley Neal, the Edinburgh Gin Boys were there. It was amazing. And there we were, named the world's best gin, which was our ticket to launch this company nationally, which is what we had wanted to do. The trouble was, Ellis, we were named the world's best gin on 28th of February 2020. So everybody went home, didn't they, 2 weeks later? Anyway, to cut a long story short, 3 or 4 years down the road, we're here. We're now five. We have just gone out for investment last year. We now have 189 investors. We've just launched our own bespoke bottle. Many gins will take bottles from the shelves and have, you'll see many gin companies have the same bottles as each other. And the big driver for buying gin is often the beautiful bottles. And so we've had a really adventurous year where we've had the bottle designed in Wales, manufactured in Yorkshire, so a very British product. And we've just launched that in the last couple of weeks. So a lovely brand.
How's your Yorkshire accent coming on?
Well, my husband's and co-founder is a Lancastrian. So I cannot talk to you about Yorkshire, I'm afraid.
Well, I hail from that county, so yeah, I'm well aware of the War of the Roses there. That's an interesting one. Yeah, interesting. So yeah, you've obviously seen the interior of our home, Rachel, because it's full of empty gin bottles that have been turned into bubble bath, shampoo, you name it, right? So yeah, I'm totally with you there. Also on the impact of the image, the style of the bottle. In fact, we'll talk more about that in a few minutes because we're getting there into the space of marketing, really. Okay, it feels like that. So that's really cool. So tell me, what was the criteria for the world's best gin award? How did that? What did you have to do? What did your product bring that others didn't?
Well, we have now won more than 50 international awards. Right. And we always choose, and the World Gin Award was one of these, we always make sure that we choose competitions to enter which are blind tasted. It's the only way to truly be rewarded for what you're creating. Funnily enough, this year, we've just entered a competition purely based on what we look like now. So the branding, the design, the label, etc., etc. but obviously that's very specific. But the taste, the winning of the World Gin Awards is based purely on taste, and they have, as do all the international competitions, a great range of judges, from writers to distillers. And in fact, as distillers ourselves, we have just been invited to be judges of the World Gin Award next year. We'll be there in January. So it's a very wide range, but it's blind tasting. And I think that is what is so important, to make sure that you've won something very special.
And okay, so interesting interview, interesting conversation this, because the gin fan in me wants to talk more about the product and the experience, if I'm being brutally honest with you. But I'll keep pulling my brain back into the business space, if that's okay. So how do you visualize? How did you guys talk us through the process of where Skywave became not a product, but a concept, a vision? How did that happen?
You mean before we started?
Yeah. Where was the seed? I mean, you couldn't find the gin that you were really looking for. So you decided to produce your own. What, I guess the question really is centered in, how did you visualize what it would become? What did you visualize? What did you have in place at the beginning in your minds?
It continually evolves as we grow. I think to begin with, we thought it would be a hobby. We just like making jam. We'd make some, it would be nice, we'd drink it.
Wow.
Then we realized it could be a business, but we still had full-time, very productive businesses. So it was a sort of hobby business. Mm-hmm. And then we realized, because we're both so driven and want things to be a success, that we couldn't just carry on doing something on our kitchen table. After a few months, we wanted it to be bigger and better. And that was when we sort of decided that we needed to enter the competitions for the acknowledgement, because without a marketing grant, who is going to say you're any good other than yourself? Yeah. And to take it to that professional level of getting the website, getting the e-commerce in place, getting the staff to come and work for you, getting the marketing out there in some form, getting the product looking like it should look, and approaching people. But as a concept, it just grew and grew. And there were various points where we had to decide whether to stop or to go big, to really be brave and be bold. Moving into premises, taking on more staff, buying new kit, extending the revenue streams, things like that. So it continues to evolve. I'm afraid that there wasn't a vision that we aim for. We continue to evolve that vision, and we continue to change with market conditions and with what we are able to do or what we want to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables mixed into your answer there. I mean, it's interesting that one of the principles that we encourage entrepreneurs to really think carefully about is, what does the end game look like? What's the cliche, but we're setting the sat nav here, aren't we? We're going there. What does it look like? Now, I think it's interesting that a lot of business people do that, and Rachel, it sounds like you guys did that to a degree. But it's also fascinating that very few people actually sit down and create a visual representation of what life looks like when they have got their product or their business to a certain point.
No, we've done that. We have done that.
You have done that, okay.
We have done that. Not visually, but I can tell you. Would you like me to tell you?
Yeah, tell us, yeah.
Okay. So the aim is, we have on our bottle, we actually had it in the new bottle, we had it engraved, or not engraved, it's molded into the glass, from Oxfordshire to the world. Okay. And the end game for us is that this gin is exported. We have an export manager, is exported, is successfully selling not only in Britain, not only in Europe, but around the world. Yeah. Is a sustainable business that has different revenue streams, the distillery experiences, for example, the bar that we have, plus the physical product. Mm. And it runs, as it already does on a scale, it runs itself. And we are the ambassadors that travel the world, look for new markets, promote, and ambassador for ourselves. But we're not in the business, we're working on it instead.
So there's the classic sort of yardstick, isn't it? The old sort of Michael Gerber, the E-Myth based in versus on thinking, which is superb. Um, Absolutely superb and totally relevant because you know, we have a philosophy here at Power Play where we talk a lot about level 3 business ownership, reflecting the business that actually functions day to day without you. And you can't have that if you're in the business dealing with the weeds, so to speak, right? So ambassadorship. Do you see yourself as the CEO? Do you identify with being the CEO of your own business now, you guys?
It's a title, isn't it?
Mm.
We can't have co-CEOs. Yes.
Yeah.
Andy and I never take that title. We both say we're co-founders
Yeah.
and we leave it as that. But yes, as a role, yes, I lead and Andy leads. He's more operational. Well, we're both operational, but
Yeah.
in different areas of the business.
Yeah.
And we both make those executive decisions together. So can you have two
Interesting.
CEOs?
Yeah, it's a good answer because I was fishing there a little bit just to see what that sort of subconscious identity was, and there was very little hesitation there, wasn't it? The answer was yes. We're the CEOs of our own business. There's a key point here for the listener, for the viewer, Rachel, because they very few people in small business done right will identify with being the CEO of their own business. They're almost reticent to apply the title. And of course, what they don't understand necessarily is that the title does not have to be external. It's an internal title that I'm interested in. It's how do you see yourself? Are you internalizing as a CEO of your own business? Because if the answer is no, then really that's going to dictate almost certainly the scale and the trajectory of your company, right? Because it will be a reflection of you.
I mean, it goes back to this title, and we see ourselves as leaders, to lead the company, to grow the company, to inspire our staff, to bring them on, to encourage them, to keep them, to retain them, to develop them, and to grow the business. Now, you give it any title you like, but that's our position and our view of our role in the business.
Yeah, and that's great. So again, now we can cast aside the title CEO. It really doesn't matter what you call yourself. What matters is that you're thinking in that way, and so superb, really great. So the message there to the viewer, the listener, is set yourself up to be capital B, capital E, the person that is able to develop themselves in such a way that the business reflects and follows. So you mentioned something really very interesting there. You mentioned teams. So we would also take the view that there are two aspects to a successful venture, Rachel. One is marketing. The second one is people, right? So if you've got the team, but you don't have the marketing machine, but if you have the marketing machine and not the people, problem as well. So you need both, right, to become a level 3 business. So you really have touched on both subjects. I want to come to marketing in a minute. Stay in the space of people. You mentioned retention, critical or not in 2023 going into 2024, talent retention, right? So talk to us about that. What is the cultural what shall we say? What are the points of culture? How do you attract these people and how do you keep them?
We have a set of values, core values, and I'm not going to reel them off for you, but the core one is do the right thing. Okay. At every time. And that's by our people as well as by our customers, as well as for the environment. And I think the fact that Andy and I will always do the right thing within the business attracts people who want to work for a company that does the right thing at every level. And we find that the way that we treat our staff encourages them to stay with us and to come to us. We are very flexible. We don't have a 9 to 5 working pattern. We have a whole range of different structures that people can be employed with us by, that was a dreadful grammatical sentence, but you understand what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So they can come as freelance, they can come as sole traders, they can come as be fully employed, they can work short hours, long hours, flexible, unpaid leave, paid leave. We have a whole range of options for people. And we're a very, very small company. So don't think that we've got some fabulous kind of Google setup, but, you know, there's a lot to be said for trying to be innovative and just thoughtful in small ways as a small company to develop your team with courses, with small perks, with thoughtfulness, and with flexibility from both sides and understanding.
So there's clearly been a lot of thinking in this venture, hasn't there? You and Andy and other people, no doubt. Just without going into the gritty sort of space of how you're planning, what sort of scope is your planning, Rachel? Are you going out 5 years? Are you going out 3 and keeping it tighter? What are you guys in the boardroom, if you like, talking about?
It's a 5-year plan.
It's a 5-year plan.
We
Okay.
tend to work to 5-year plans. We've done one 5-year plan.
Yeah.
And we're just starting the second 5-year plan.
Starting the second.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Interesting stuff. And cascading that planning vision down, how are you translating that plan into day-to-day focused behavior? How does that work? Have you got a mechanism there, or is that you tell us?
It's more organic, to be honest. We know what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Every day,
Yeah.
we are gently moving either the people or the business in that direction. So always, there are so many different elements to our business, be it export, be it the 4 revenue streams that we have that isn't just producing gin, that we're always just looking at moving them on and on and on towards that 5-year goal, bit by bit each day. But it is organic, definitely.
The key phrase there, forgive me, is bit by bit each day. So again, we have a little philosophy here which goes like this: it's progress, not perfection, right? So we perfection doesn't exist in the game. It's about getting the traction that you're looking for by daily advancement, small increments, but consistent. And I love that, Rachel. That's really good. It's very unusual to hear that type of philosophy, to be quite honest. It's very, very interesting. Excellent stuff. So, look, it's time to talk about marketing, isn't it? Because without putting too fine a point on it, this is a marketing-led business, right? Yes, you've got a wonderful product and you've got great talented people in it and running it, but unless you've got the marketing machine firing on all cylinders, it's going to be underperforming. So, tell us about marketing. What's the thinking around marketing?
Anybody who runs a business will understand the tension between the person who wants to spend on marketing and the person who holds the purse strings.
Yeah.
Because often the person who holds the purse strings has got a very what's the word? Very lateral, a very literal mind. They want to see rewards. They want to see that the money goes out here, and this is the response, the ROI on it, etc., etc. And of course, marketing or PR, you can't say spend 5,000 on this and we will bring you £10,000 back in revenue. So, in our business, we don't come from a marketing background, and we are learning, and we've learned the importance very, very early on. That was that first competition. That was our marketing strategy when we had no money. How do you get yourself out there? You have to have somebody else say you're great. It's PR, isn't it? And that's what we continue to try and do. I believe in PR much more than marketing. I'd much rather somebody else says I'm good than I tell you I'm good, and that I have the best gin. So we spend our money in PR as much as we can. But it's been a long journey and a painful one at times. You know, it's tiring when you're doing it yourself and having to learn, or when you're paying and trying to understand how social media works, because it's so crucial now. It's not just about whether you're in this glossy magazine or whether you're on the billboard at Marylebone. It is what people are saying about you and how you get them to say the right things and show the right images. And that's a long process. Some call it the dark arts, and I can understand why.
They most certainly do, and 100%, in my opinion, it's the most, well, okay, let's say along with people, this is the secondary subject. People, putting the right people in a business and retaining them, then leading and managing them, that is for sure, in my experience over 35 years in business, the most challenging aspect of business ownership. But at the same time, marketing is particularly difficult because, as Henry Ford did say a long time ago, marketing's wonderful, marketing's essential, words to that effect. The problem is that only 50% of marketing works. The real problem, however, is that we don't know which 50%, right? So that's where you are right there in your statement. So marketing's essential. Marketing, a very clever person once said to me a long time ago now, and he was right. He said that marketing is anything and everything that touches an existing or potential prospective client. It's anything and everything. So I would imagine to Skywave, this is very much part of the reality, yeah?
Absolutely. And this is something that you have to get your head around, don't you, when you start a business, that you can't just take an advert out and say, well, there we are, we've told them. You know, they have to, the audience, our customers need to hear it 7, 8 times from 7 or 8 different places.
Yeah, very clever.
To understand and to really take it home, because I mean, God, we're totally bombarded, aren't we, every day with stuff and messages and images. No wonder we have to tell everybody many times about ourselves before it registers and they act on it. But it is incredibly important. And somebody very famous, whose name escapes me right now, said that if he had $1 left, he would spend that dollar on marketing.
Yeah, interesting. I would change one word in that. I would change one word in that sentence. Any ideas what it is? Spend.
Spend.
Because if the marketing, when the marketing's done properly, it's not spending money, it's investing money. And that's the reality of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
So which is it then, Andy, or is it Rachel that's the gatekeeper of the purse?
Andy.
Is it? So do you find yourself campaigning then to actually justify the marketing activity investments? Is that something that you have to do?
Always. And it's always, you always want more money for marketing, because marketing is the lifeblood. It's no good to have the best gin in the world if nobody knows you're there.
100%, right?
It's no good having the most beautiful bottle if they don't know that we have it.
How many people are going to be watching this this video sat there with a hairdressing organization or with a local building company or a car, I don't know, automotive specialist thing somewhere in a shed in the back streets of somewhere in the UK or anywhere in the world with the same challenge? How on earth do I get into, how do I get people to realize I'm here? And you know what, Rachel, the answer is we need a website. We need to do some social media. We need some PR. The answer is, excuse me, the answer is you do, but not without focused thinking around some critical points. So when it boils down to Skywave, what would you say your massive differentiation point is? What would you say is, from a marketing perspective, what do you communicate that says to the potential purchaser, we're different and we're worth buying?
So we trying to keep it tight, because you can talk about your business being brilliant and different till the cows come home, but you've got to keep it tight. And our essential points of differentiation are that we are a luxury item. We're high end. You know, we're not, you can't buy a bottle of us for £19. So we're a premium product.
Excellent.
We are from a county full of innovation, Oxfordshire. We created the vaccine here. We have amazing writers and inventors here. We have world-class Formula One here. and we have world-class gin. So we are part of that ingenuity, that innovation. Our gin, our beautiful new bottle, which is 100% British, is again an innovation because we've designed it to be a lightweight bottle. We have deliberately taken 40% of the glass out of it compared to our 500 ml smaller bottle. Wow. So that it's a lightweight, so it's ecologically friendly. Okay. So we're luxury, we're innovative and ingenious from Oxfordshire. We are conscious of the environment.
Yeah.
And we are also very authentic. Can you be very authentic? We are just authentic. We're an authentic product. We make it. It all happens in our distillery. Our distillers, our master distiller and our assistant distiller touch every batch that we make. So we're not a faceless gin. We are a gin that has passion and craft throughout every drop that we make.
So there's five, I think I counted five there, 5 points of differentiation, five ways to separate you from the competition, right? Do you have a value proposition, you know, otherwise known in old-fashioned speak as a tagline? Have you got something along those lines that you use?
I mean, we tend to, that again, you know, that's that kind of elevator pitch as well, isn't it? We call ourselves everything about us, and you can see it on the labels on our bottles, that we are the home of the world's best gin, because we are. And we always talk about being from Oxfordshire to the world and the spirit of Oxfordshire. But no, I'm afraid we've not crafted anything quite as smart as I think you're looking for.
What is it? The home of world-class gin.
The home of the world's best gin.
The world's best gin.
Yeah.
You've used the word world a couple times now, actually, in the interview, which is really interesting because again, it links back. We can link back there to the mindset around the CEO, the founder, the level of thinking. It's just such a beautiful point to embellish for the listener because, again, very talented, very capable business owners that just don't think that they're world class. Isn't that interesting?
And I think that limits you as a business. I think you have to think big, you have to aim high, you have to assume that you're going to succeed, and you have to assume that you can be out there with the big boys and that you shouldn't be daunted. Otherwise, you're limiting your horizons and your growth.
Couldn't agree more. And again, it's lovely to see the links coming back to identity. Andy and Rachel identify with being world-class by creating something that is special in its own right. They accept, I'm assuming, this is an interesting assumption, assuming that you understand and that you're okay with the fact that there will be people out there that don't like the product. And that's okay, because what matters is the people that do like it, right?
Of course.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Identity and knowing, understanding that your future can only ever be a reflection of who you are and what you're thinking right now as a business leader. That's what's dictating the future. Love it. Brilliant. Okay, one more question. What does the future hold then? What does the future hold for this lovely product and this business behind it? Where are you guys going? What's the vision for the next stage?
We've got 5 years planned out. And in those 5 years, I'm trying to think of what I can tell you and what I can't tell you. But basically, as a company, we already have 4 revenue streams. We would like to add another. So we have our bespoke gin is a great revenue stream for us. You know, we create Blenheim is near to us. We use their natural mineral water in all of our gins. They didn't have a gin. They came to us and said, could you create a gin for us? And we now have created Blenheim's very first gin, and they are creating a range that we've created for them. So we have various, thank you, we have various revenue streams. Bespoke is one of them. So the vision is that there's at least one more revenue stream to come on board, which is a development of the business into a new area.
Yeah.
New product development, obviously, as a gin. And export. Export is big. There are big chunks of the world that are finding gin and responding to gin in the way that Britain did 10 years ago when the gin boom, or 13 years ago when the gin boom started, thanks to the changing of the law that allowed batch gin, craft batch, small distillers to distill. So there are parts of the world that we need to tap into that are really booming for gin. So export is the third area. New product development.
Fascinating. So give us all all of your no doubt there will be a lot of people watching this program that will be jumping online to buy Skywave. I hope so. They should. So what give us a feel for the ambition around scale. Please don't feel any pressure to quote numbers or volumes. That's not what I'm after. But are you guys looking to grow by 50%, by 100%, or what are you looking to do across the next 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, numbers, the numbers are huge, because and relatively pointless actually, because without seeing all of the numbers, then it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think what's important is where you are sold and the knowledge of you in the public's perception. So, for example, we at the moment are not in any multiples supermarkets. We're not in any supermarkets.
Okay.
And we don't want to be in all the supermarkets. We don't want to be ubiquitous, but we do want to be widely available and widely recognized. You know, if I said to you, sorry, say again.
And distribution being critical, I understand that. That makes sense. But selectively, Rachel, is what you're saying to me or not?
Absolutely. You know, we have 2 or 3 great distributors, but it would be lovely to be in 1 or 2 selective multiples.
Yeah.
It would be lovely to be in the high-end stores that we all know, the Selfridges, the Fortnums, the Harrods.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's also having that distribution point, those distribution points and companies across the world, into Scandinavia, into Asia, into India, into America, you know, and having those, that's the scale that we haven't got yet, and we want to aim for, so that we have that distribution path easily out into the world.
So I love your thinking again. There's the global world aspect creeping back in again. This is fantastic stuff for the small business owner that's sat there not realizing that their product or their venture should be a global thing, an international venture. Why not? The only limitation is what we think, right? So are we going to see Skywave on Mars then? Do you think we're going to get a bottle on Elon's first mission?
Yeah, I think if we wanted to get it into Elon's hands, we're going to have to put something to do with sex on the bottle or in the bottle, aren't we? So I don't know how that's going to work. Maybe we've got to make some kind of love potion for him, and then he'll jettison off into
Have
Mars.
a look at Jeff Bezos's spaceship. Maybe that'll give you some inspiration. I'm not going any further than that one. Right. Fascinating. So, is there anything else from your sort of I would say locker of knowledge and experience, genius really, in terms of what you guys have achieved in such a short space of time? Is there anything else that you'd like to share with everybody today, Rachel?
I think a couple of things. One is be brave. Don't be foolhardy, but do be brave in business. Make sure you can afford it, but if you can afford it, do it and take yourself to the edge and try and make it happen. But also look around for support. Here in Oxfordshire, we have a wonderful organisation called Oxlep, which is a business support. Through the government, there are various grants, and when you're starting or as you're growing, those grants can make a huge difference, as can the business advice and the business mentoring and the networking. And so don't work in a silo. And actually, as a gin company, we also find that the gin industry is incredibly welcoming. You know, there are other gin companies in Oxfordshire, and they've all helped us, and we've helped them in return when we've needed to. And we all talk and chat to each other and meet at the gin symposium in the summer every year. It's a great community. So yes, reach out. Don't work on your own, but also be brave, but not foolhardy.
allow me to just embellish what you've said there for everybody listening. So some people listening will be familiar with the if you like, the philosophy and the ethos of what we teach in our own activity. I think to summarize the first point around Be Brave, we would organize that by saying, understand and take calculated risk. If we don't understand and take calculated risk in business, we're almost certainly not going to succeed. Okay, so that's a good one, really excellent. And the other one was abundance. Be abundant. I think those people out there that are running around with a mindset of fear of sharing knowledge and information and collaboration, education, these people are almost certainly not going to flourish in the next decade. So that, for me, the two brilliant points there, Rachel. Thank you so much. We all here at Spotlight want to wish you a phenomenal next 5 years. I'm sure that's going to happen. We're all going to order a bottle or two, no doubt. In fact, you've given me one or two Christmas ideas already. There's still time, isn't there? Just on that note, is it possible to purchase the product online?
Of course, skywavegin.com. We have a whole range. We've got 7 gins and 1 non-alcoholic, so you can buy for now or for January.
No idea what that means. Absolutely no idea what that means.
Yes, do go and browse our website. We'd love you to. We'd love you to.
Rachel, it's been an absolute joy to talk to you today about Skywave, and perhaps on another occasion I'd love to talk more about the other aspects of your career and your background. It's also equally fascinating. But thank you very much for joining in.
Yes.